Welcome to our college football playoff ranking show coverage right here, right now. We're ready to get it going, and that's coming up in just a few moments from now. Glad to have you with us. College football playoff top 25. We're going to get it started in a moment, but first, we're going to play an audio clip from college football tonight. This is every Saturday night after the games, right here on the JJ Sports Channel, as well as on our podcast, JJ Sports Podcast. We're going to play that clip right now.
Thing. As a top tier game. I mean, I think Alabama LSU should be a decent game. I don't know. They're not. Alabama's going to win big. I think Northwestern Minnesota might be good. I mean, maybe a Big Ten homer on that one. Florida Tennessee's garbage. Florida's just going to destroy them. West Virginia Iowa State looks really good. 5-3 against 7-2. A&M Auburn. I mean, Auburn got destroyed today, but A&M will at least have somebody that's not awful. Iowa, Illinois. Illinois has been dominated by Iowa in the last few years. I think this is the best Illinois team that we've had in a couple of years on display. Of course, you got some games in the Pac-12 as well that we've had. I mean, if I were to give out a game to watch next week, maybe West Virginia, Iowa State. I think Iowa State will get it done though over West Virginia. We're going to give out our winners of the day here, and I guess this is the winners of today and yesterday. I'll give a winner from yesterday to Oregon State, who beat the Oregon Ducks 41-38 yesterday. Oregon State has really been a program under the radar. They've been just always counted out. They finally beat Oregon. They've always been that little brother. They finally get it done over the Ducks. Second winner of the day, which is tough to pick this one. Michigan State over Northwestern. Michigan State defending their home turf. Big win, and they survive and advance. Alrighty, let's pull you out of that one. Just a few things to clarify from that is that Minnesota against Northwestern, that game has been canceled. And we will have, again, the top 25 in just moments from now. Let's bring up our top 25 board, which we will get to, again, coming up in just a few moments. But, again, I want to make sure you guys stay tuned to college football tonight every single Saturday night until we get the college football season done. It's a struggle sometimes getting these shows in. But, our college football playoff top 25, that's coming up. Now, the thing is that from last week that we need to take into consideration is these top four teams, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, is that Ohio State didn't play. And that's going to be really considered. And, they couldn't play against Illinois last week. So we will see what happens. All right. So we have heard out of the ACC there are schedule changes today, which has basically said that this will be the final regular season week for Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson and Notre Dame will be playing opponents this week, but not next week. All right. So we got a question from Matt. If they aren't eligible to play in the Big Ten Championship, do I think they'll get a spot in the playoff? That's a complicated kind of question, because certainly what the Big Ten model currently is that they will play cross division games. And right now, Ohio State is in first place in the Big Ten East. So if they're ineligible to play, I would assume that they're going to still be ahead of Maryland, and they're going to be at least in that second position. And they would probably play a Wisconsin or an Iowa in that last week, unless the Big Ten decides to play a makeup game, which the Big Ten East teams this year are not really ranked in a good fashion. I don't know. The Big Ten East this year a little bit down. You got Penn State really struggling. They finally got a win, and then Michigan just barely beating Rutgers. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what I was saying here. We got our top 25. Let's get rolling. Louisiana coming in at 25. Let's see here. Hope I don't screw this up. Tulsa at 24. 23, we've got Oregon, who of course lost to Oregon State. Washington at 22. 21 would be Marshall. Wisconsin at 16. Carolina at 17. 18 would be Coastal Carolina. 19, we've got Iowa. And USC at 20. All right. See if we get this top 15 here. All right. Oklahoma at 11. 12, we have Indiana, which got the win. They got a win over Maryland. BYU at 13. 14, we have Northwestern, which lost to Michigan State. 15, we have the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, which are up a whopping 8 spots. Crazy. That could take place. All right, starting our top 10, we have the Miami Hurricanes. Then it's Iowa State at number 9. I really like Iowa State. I think they're a really good program right now. They're 4 spots after last week's win. They beat Texas on Black Friday. That's who they beat. It was a quality win. I think Iowa State, they lost to a Louisiana team, which is now ranked number 25. Their other loss to Oklahoma State, which is number 15. So not a bad resume there. Georgia coming in at number 8 in the country. And Cincinnati at number 7, staying at number 7. All right. Again, we will have that top 6 coming up in a moment. Just got to get some stuff done here. Because what the heck? I don't know what I'm doing at this point. So we have the top 6 teams that are going to be the same top 6 teams we had last week: Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida, Notre Dame, Clemson. I said them all. I really hope I did. But it's the same top 6 that we had last week. And while we have the time, I'm going to get back to that. The thing about Ohio State is that whether or not they play in the Big Ten championship, they're going to have a quality opponent to play. Either Wisconsin, Iowa, Northwestern. It's going to be a quality opponent no matter what. Alabama stays at the number one team in the nation, with Notre Dame. Oh gosh. Sorry, I'm so sorry. There we go. There we go. Alabama number 1. Notre Dame. Oh my goodness. I probably screwed everything up. Notre Dame at 2. Ohio State at 4. I think it's the same rankings as last week, and I'm just on the struggle bus once again here, guys. So yeah, the same top 6 as last week. I will tell you that there really were not big matchups in the top 6 kind of area of the rankings this week. Now next week we're gonna have a few games to look at when it comes to. Really, I'm playing. We don't really have any good games next week. Wisconsin, Indiana, I think is the best game we have next week. That's 3:30 Eastern kickoff on ABC. Wisconsin, Indiana. Let's get into these rankings and draw some discussion once again here in week number. What is this? We're heading into week 14. So we have week 14, 15, and then the championship week from all the conferences, I believe, is week 16 this year. So what we have here, I think a really interesting thing is that Iowa State now at number 9 in the country. I still don't think they have a shot at getting into the college football playoff, but at this point, they can very much get into top tier bowl game, which a Big 12 champion is guaranteed a New Year's Six berth. You see good bowl games that we'd probably have. So right now, I would say the Rose Bowl would be Notre Dame Clemson right now, but of course that's not going to happen because Notre Dame will play Clemson. I think they don't want to have a rematch once again in a semifinal. I think they'll do a third rematch in a national championship, not in a semifinal. But yeah, I think the loser Notre Dame Clemson should be in that 4 spot. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what is better for the ACC to have them play each other in the semifinal and guarantee your team a berth in the championship. I don't know. But what we do know here is that right now our bowl games that I'd say we'd probably have Peach Bowl. I'd say probably Texas A&M, Cincinnati. No, that's not the Peach. They wouldn't do that. I think either A&M or Florida would go to the Fiesta Bowl. Probably A&M would go to the Fiesta Bowl. Maybe they'd match them up with a team like Iowa State or a team like Cincinnati. I think I think Cincinnati will go to either the Fiesta Bowl or the Peach Bowl. They could go to the Cotton Bowl. Western Michigan went to the Cotton Bowl a few years back when they went undefeated. Miami, right now, if this were to hold, Miami of Florida would be playing in their home stadium in the Orange Bowl, as they did. I don't know how many years ago it was when they played Wisconsin. I think they got curb stomped or something in that game. So look at those New Year's Six spots. You see Miami's in the New Year's Six. Iowa State would be in a New Year's Six. There's no other real given. Cincinnati would be in New Year's Six. Other than that, there's no other guaranteed berths to give out because you have an SEC and then ACC and Big Ten represented already in the playoff. So then it would be A&M, Florida, Cincinnati, Georgia, Iowa State, Miami, and then really whatever. Really, the top 10, I think, at this point, they would get into the New Year's Six. And then, really, I don't know who determines it after that. But if they can, they'd get Oklahoma in because that's a big brand. I'm really sorry to say that it's all about brands here. All right. If Notre Dame loses to Clemson in the ACC championship, do they deserve a spot? In my opinion, it's a matter of does someone else deserve a spot over them. I think Notre Dame is pretty much just in the playoff. Same with Alabama. Even if now there's a scenario that you could play out that if Florida beats Alabama and Clemson beats Notre Dame, do you put Florida in and Alabama, or do you put Notre Dame and Clemson in both? Certainly, you're going to put Florida in if they beat Alabama, I would think. But then you'd have that argument that is a very, very small argument. But if Notre Dame beats Clemson, I think Clemson's out. If Ohio State were to trip up, I think the Big Ten's out. I think Ohio State's the last team the Big Ten can get in. Florida, I think, has a shot. I think A&M's right in that spot where they need Ohio State to lose. A&M's really their only shot is Ohio State losing. Florida can get in if they beat Bama. I think if Notre Dame loses to Clemson and Florida beats Bama, they would. So Clemson beats Notre Dame and Florida beats Bama. I think they leave out Notre Dame and put Florida in. If you look at Florida, they played the SEC gauntlet this year. I think their only losses to Texas A&M at this point. They beat Georgia. They will have beat Bama if that happens. And presumably they would beat LSU to get to that point. LSU's not that good this year. And it really wasn't a gauntlet for Florida. They didn't have the toughest schedule, but they did have a few games that you can say Notre Dame didn't. Notre Dame, really, you can say they Clemson and Clemson again. But for Florida, being able to say that you're a conference champion gives you that added advantage. But certainly, we'll see an upset or two coming up in the next few weeks or next however long. Interesting conference movement here. Pac-12, just two teams, USC 20 and Oregon at 23. Really, the fact that you can't find a Pac-12 team in your top 19 this week, that just shows you the disrespect. And you see BYU at 13. The non-Pac-12 school that played basically a full schedule. Well, the Pac-12 played half of the schedule, and they're being rewarded, but not as rewarded as some believe they should be. Some believe BYU should be in the top 10. I think they are better than Oklahoma. At least their resume is. I don't think BYU can beat on Oklahoma right now, but Oklahoma's resume didn't look good the first month or so of the season when they just couldn't beat anybody. But now Oklahoma would beat BYU. Oklahoma would probably beat Indiana. Because obviously Indiana is a whole nother situation. They lost their starting quarterback for the season. So, I mean, that's really unfortunate. And we keep our top four. There's nothing really. And if you wanted to drop something in the chat, we'll answer your question. And then we'll peace out in a little bit. I think the Big Ten here, we look at the Big Ten's rankings. They got Ohio State at 4, Indiana 12, Northwestern 14, Wisconsin 16, and Iowa 19. Or the Pac-12 also has Washington in to the rankings, which is kind of questionable. Now, any other Big Ten team that would deserve to be in here over like an Oregon, Tulsa, or Louisiana? I just can't think of one. The Big Ten's so mediocre this year. I mean, you could say Maryland, but that's such an up and down team. I really don't know, but I think the Big Ten has some good teams. Iowa. I mean, with what Iowa was, if Iowa would have beaten either Northwestern or Purdue to start this season, I think Iowa could be in a spot where they were in that, where Northwestern is right now, where they would be in that front runner for the Big Ten West. But instead, because of these problems that you got, Iowa sitting at 19.